Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Hazim Hasbullah and I am one of KYSB students. So today I'm going to talk about something related to people problem in an organization. But before that, have you ever been working in a large group of people or working in an organization? We often assume that working in large numbers and working in a team enhance work quality and performance. It can be denied, but in the other perspective, the reality is the other way around. When we work as a group, there are many problems arise, and one of the problems is racial inequality. So what is it? So we are going to look at it now. Racial inequality can easily be defined when a person's constitutional right is denied based on their skin color, culture, or language. And I have my own story regarding racial inequality back then when I was doing my internship in an insurance company. Most of the workers in the company were non-Malay, which were Chinese. It can be said that 70% of the workers were Chinese and the 30% remaining is Malay and Indian. Since I was a minority group in the company, I was always being ignored when there was discussion or conversation due to the language barrier. Most of the workers use Mandarin to speak to each other, which burdened me to understand them what they are saying. Due to the circumstances that I can't understand them, most of the time I only did simple tasks such as key in minor data, arrange filing, and printing the documents for the bosses. Furthermore, due to language barrier, I don't think that I built a good relationship and friendship with the co-workers. So now, we are going to look at the symptoms of the problem, which is the racial inequality in this organization. The first symptom of this problem in this organization is low rate of advancement for the minority. This means that the minority face a lot of circumstances in going up the tier of the hierarchy. Besides, from my previous experience, language barrier prohibits me from understanding them. Since my participation in the discussion is very low, it contributes to my low productivity and prohibits me from sharing of ideas. On top of that, a survey and research made by Elliott and Smith, they discovered that by having the same level of education in America, white men, the race that is considered superior, is twice likely to advance compared to black men. From this research, we can see that for minority to advance in the hierarchy, they do really depend on educational level to break the barrier and move up the tier of the organization. Number 2, the minority in a company only have low authority in the organization. Since minority is a small group of people, their voice is hardly being heard by the upper tier of the company. Furthermore, the majority race or the superior race will conquer the organization by holding the top hierarchy of an organization. Therefore, it causes the authority gap between the minority and majority to be bigger. The third symptom is unmotivated to work. Based on my story, I'll be demotivated to work since I couldn't build a strong relationship with the co-workers.
And the low level of motivation can be more explained by looking at Maslow hierarchy of needs. So for the first level is physiological needs, which is the air, water, food, shelter, the necessity that we need. And the second level is safety needs, which is personal security, employment, resources, and health. The third level is love and belonging, friendship, intimacy, family, and sense of connection. So for the first two levels, the needs were satisfied, which is the necessity and the safety needs. However, the third level of the Maslow hierarchy of need was not satisfied because I couldn't make any friendship with the co-workers. So that's why my motivation to work was so low.
Now, we will be moving on to the contributor to the racial inequality. One of the biggest contributors to this problem is favoritism. The underlying idea of favoritism is that communication, discretion, and trust are facilitated by social similarity. Higher level managers prefer this type of relationship over the strength to deal with people who are different when higher degrees of legitimate authority at stake. Majority group members who occupy the upper tier of position of the authority have a vested interest in maintaining their hegemony over such positions and do so by excluding candidates who differ from culture, language, and maybe skin. The upper tier of an organization usually shows candidates who are similar in racial identity. This is due to the fact that it eases them in communication and also discussion. Based on my story, the company historically employed Chinese workers due to their capability in business. Hence, majority of the workers were Chinese. An American researcher, his name was Kenter, refers this as an homosocial reproduction because this scenario tends to reproduce the social characteristics of organizational structure over successive generations of workers. The second one is direct discrimination. According to a journal made by Elliott and Smith, they appointed 3 mechanisms of discrimination. The first one is sex discrimination, which is discrimination based on gender and race. The second one is prejudice and antipathy. And the third one is statistical discrimination. Sex discrimination means the employers discriminate workers based on their race and also gender. Prejudice and antipathy means that the employers have negative perception of a certain races or gender. Statistical discrimination means that the employer uses data and statistics in order to assess the productivity of the workers without knowing the background and character of the candidates itself. So, what are the solutions to this problem? The first solution is improve communication among co-workers. An organization should enhance their workers' communication skill regardless of their races and cultural background. The organization or a company should also inculcate the workers to use national language within the organization to create a similarity among workers and produce better environment, especially in discussion and any conversation. Number 2 is political action. Voting in local and federal election is essential to reforming policy and addressing racial inequalities. Political action is vital in overcoming this racial problem because doing political work and changing legislation and policy will change how the people live and change how the economy works and contribute greatly to the change that will happen in the future. The third one is embed anti-racism into our values, training and actions. Organizations as well as workers should build a stronger, healthier and better workplace culture by having a solid set of core values that are integrated into every policy, decision and process. However, anti-racism training alone cannot shift people's perspectives. This is because racism exists in attitudes, cultural messages, stereotypes and beliefs due to implicit bias. Therefore, companies can actively reduce bias through training along with embedding processes, policies and actions that help create a culture rooted in diversity and inclusion. To ensure the effectiveness of this process, during the early stages of the process, all levels of workers should be observed in order to ensure the policies and actions are implemented well. So, how the Hawthorne effect works? Actually, Hawthorne effect theories explain how people can increase productivity whenever they are being observed. In the simplest term, Hawthorne effect is increasing the output or effectiveness when people are being observed. So that's all from me. Thank you.